What's it like to play the Nintendo Entertainment System? Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.
The 80s, famous for drugs, overused catchphrases.
Did I do that?
Famous movies, hoverboards, and also weird-ass fashion. But most importantly, that made the 80s famous was the gaming industry.
Boston has become the victim of an electronic blight. With fewer than 600,000 people, the city has 4,000 to 5,000 video games, not just in arcades, but also in drugstores, pizza parlors, supermarkets.
In some sections of the city, we have a machine or two machines and sometimes three machines in virtually every single corner store in a neighborhood.
City officials today announced that video games no longer will be licensed in residential areas, only in commercial and industrial neighborhoods. Officials say they are responding to complaints from parents that children have skipped school or stolen money to play the games and made a nuisance of themselves.
Talking about this demeaning kid, making kids' minds like vegetables, talk about them out on the street smoking pot.
And let me tell you, man, everyone was playing arcade machines back in the 80s. And you know, back in the day, people didn't really know how to use credit cards. Well, especially little kids, and they used to just steal little, like a little bit of change just to go to the nearest arcade store. Now, the whole industry was booming, a lot of people was making money, and a lot of people was having fun. But the main thing that people got really frustrated with is that they have to get out of their house to actually play the game. That's why, back in the 70s, Odyssey made their first console.
This is Odyssey, the new electronic game simulator. You attach Odyssey to your television set in seconds to create a closed-circuit electronic playground. Odyssey is tennis, roulette, football and hockey, analogic, and geography. Odyssey comes complete with 12 electronic games and educational experiences. Many more are optionally available, like a shooting gallery, a prehistoric safari.
Now, the Odyssey never really took off. Maybe because of that weird-ass commercial, or people was like, okay, alright guys, let's be honest. Are we really going to spend $100 with this? Really, nigga? Bruh. When Odyssey was like... After the whole Odyssey shebang, Atari back in 1977, they was like, man, Odyssey is so freaking trash. Like, we could do way better than Odyssey. You know what? Let's make our own console. And they did just that. On December 17th, 1977, during the holidays, they released their very first console, Atari 2600. In the Atari 2600, they sold 30 million more units than the Odyssey. And that was way over their expectations. And the Atari proved the world that you could play video games just in your house.
No, George. Mine. The new video computer system by Atari. More games, more fun.
Well, Teddy, why isn't Atari popular anymore? Well, this is what happened. Yes, we just made our very first console. Oh, hello, sir. Do you want to try our new console? Oh, hell yeah. It's such an amazing price, too. Sure. Bruh. Alright, guys. We made a lot of money on our first console, but we need more money. Well, let's make another console, but a higher price. Hey, little Timmy. Do you want the brand new Atari console that just came out? Oh, well, yeah, sure. The last one was good. What the f? Why is it almost $300? I can't pay that with my allowance. Alright, guys, we have some bad news. Our brand new console is not selling enough. I think it's because of the high price. What should we do? Well, Atari, we have some other bad news. The console's not selling enough to pay our independent game developers, so they're leaving us. But I have a solution. What about the next couple of years we work on another console, and it will be a very, very low price, but instead of having paid game developers, let's just pick up random homeless people from the streets to help us develop our games. Bruh. Wow, I'm so happy to play in the park with my friends. Yeah. Timmy! Oh, hey Atari! Hey Timmy, you wanna go try out our brand new and way cheaper console? Oh hell yeah, give me that. Oh hell yeah, I can't wait to play the brand new Atari 7800. It's gonna be so good. Wait, what the?
Look at the top of his head. Look at his lips.
What is up with these shitty bootleg games? Yeah, Atari never been in the spotlight again. It's pretty sad, honestly. Back in 1983, something big happened to the gaming industry. It's starting to hit its greatest lows. And this was because of entrepreneurs and investors looking at the gaming industry and seeing it was a gateway for a lot of money. And I don't blame them. The gaming industry back in the early 80s was booming back then. But here's the thing, some of them didn't know how to program or make games, so that means that shitty games will be flooded into the gaming market and plummeted sales. And some investors knew that they couldn't make video games, so that's why they bought their own game developers, but they were so greedy for the money that they just rushed the developers to just send out a unfinished game, which really hurted the market. And people saw how crappy the games got, and that's what caused people to stop playing it. Gaming was dead back in 1984, and people stopped playing arcades for a very long time, until 1985. Nintendo, that was already notorious for making children products, decided to take matters into their own hands back in 1985 when they released their very first console that would change the gaming industry forever, the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Nintendo is much more than that. Nintendo is, well, almost the most fun a kid can have. Here's Joel Lloyd.
He has entered another world, a world of danger, intrigue, and magic. This is the world of the Super Mario Brothers. Put it on the screen, and where there was one kid, you'll soon find 2, or 3, or more.
The main reason why people loved the entertainment system was because it was extremely smaller than any Atari or any console that was before it, and also the amazing library of games, like Super Mario, Duck Hunt, The Legend of Zelda, Tetris, and Excitebike, and also Punch-Out! This was the golden age of gaming, people say. If you was a kid back in 1985 and you didn't have a entertainment system, you was considered as the weird kid. A lot of people had it, and a lot of people spent their hard-earned money for it, and they had a good time.
John Money and his best friend Chris love skateboarding, but when they're not out kicking up their heels and rolling up a ramp, you'll find them mesmerized by the Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers is the all-time best-selling video game on the market under the Nintendo label. And it must be pretty good for someone to want to spend all of one night and 5 days doing nothing but trying to rescue a princess from hundreds of bad guys. John says he scored $10 million doing just that. The game's counter only goes as far as 999,950. But John says his friend kept track of the score as he played over and over again, surprising even himself.
It just wasn't me. If it was me, I would have probably been in there watching TV. But I guess game got control of me.
But what is it that fascinates kids so much about these games? What is it?
The adventures and all that. It's when they're bored, they have something to do instead of spending quarters.
A game counselor for Nintendo says a score of 10 million is not a record, but it is an accomplishment, something a lot of kids apparently try to reach. At Children's Palace in Hampton, the World of Nintendo section of the store is a big moneymaker.
There's some regular kids at the girls up the front desk. They realize who they are and they recognize them, and they call every week wanting to know what new selection we've got in.
And Nintendo addicts have plenty of gadgets to fill their video appetite, including cereal, clothes, and scores of other trinkets. It's a fad that at this point knows no limit. Velma Scape, 13 News on the Peninsula.
All throughout the late 80s, people thought that Nintendo was the unstoppable force when it comes to child entertainment. Well, they thought. See, now there was another company that specialized in child entertainment, and it was Sega.
Game Boy. It is the video game craze, the Nintendo craze. But as our consumer editor Paula Lyons shows us this year, Nintendo may be up against some serious competition.
But in America, the Nintendo system's brain is an 8-bit computer chip, a technology rapidly becoming outmoded. Nintendo has a more powerful 16-bit system already hot in Japan, but it won't arrive in the States till late next year.
What Nintendo don't? The 16-bit Genesis system by Sega. Genesis does it all.
Sega's Genesis is Nintendo's nemesis. It's one of two 16-bit systems that are already in the U.S. Sega clearly hopes to leapfrog Nintendo by touting 16-bit's advantages.
Will the two companies always be competing?
I hope so. I think it's good. If they compete, then we gain because they compete, they come up with new ideas. Each one's trying to outdo the other all the time. I think it's good that they're competing. I hope that they always are.
Is it possible there'll be a winner?
No, I don't believe there will be a winner.
See, now here's the thing. Nintendo Entertainment System was only 8-bit. And the Sega Genesis was 16-bit, which has way better graphics. Now, the Super Nintendo wasn't made yet until 1991. You know, it was still getting made. So the only thing that Nintendo could do to stop Sega from winning was the Game Boy.
Go with the power of the NES, right in the palm of your hand. Game Boy.
Oh, hell yeah! Look at that, guys! It's a portable game system! Yo, Sega don't have that! Yo, I might get this instead of the Sega Genesis!
Back in 1989, Nintendo finally had something that Sega didn't. A portable handheld. It sold like wildfire, but it didn't stop the fact that the entertainment system only was 8-bit, but the Sega Genesis was 16-bit, which was way better technology. This was the first well-known console war, Nintendo versus Sega. Sega tried to market their product like they were the cool kids of gaming, and Nintendo was the boomer that was sitting on his porch telling the kids to get off their lawn. Mamma mia! Get the hell off my lawn, you Sega fans! Whoa, Timmy, who's this crusty-ass boomer trying to talk to us like that?
Oh, hell nah! It's a goddamn Nintendo fan! Gross!
Nintendo forever, you freaking Sega losers! Get that bootleg Sonic plushie off my lawn! Bruh! I know you're not trying to roast me with those crusty-ass Mario sandals you got on, and that tight-ass Luigi watch. Take it off, your wrist is hurting! You freaking gay!
Oh, hell yeah! We have 16 bits, and you don't!
The Sega Genesis was known for Sonic the Hedgehog, Street Fighter, Streets of Rage, NBA Jam, Battletoads, and Toad Jam and Earl? Bruh. Well, I mean, like, the Sega Genesis was a beast of a console, but Sega tried to compete with Nintendo by adding way irrelevant games. Yeah. Nintendo was getting their ass kicked by Sega until November 21st, 1990, when they released the Super Nintendo. If I said that little kids love this thing, well, that would be an understatement.
The new Super Nintendo system is out. For those of you who follow the Super Mario series,
Nintendo system are making their way into stores right now, with explosive television marketing letting people know they're here.
New Super Mario World, created especially for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
That's the catch that may take many Nintendo maniacs by surprise.
He has a Game Boy, and now he has the Nintendo, and now he'd have to have another unit just for that one game. It doesn't seem right.
There's no question now that Nintendo has really taken off and millions of fans are waiting for the next game, that parents might be upset because the new game is going to cost twice as much.
And oh boy, was the parents mad, boy. Yo, listen, man, like, parents got mad because of the price, but also they got mad because their kids was obsessed with the thing. Now, I think it is their fault for letting them play for that many hours, but it got out of hand that they forced their kids to go to therapy. Like, no joke.
Our video game industry is hotter than ever this season, and one good reason, Nintendo has introduced some hot new toys. But have things gone a bit too far? This evening, Ken Shockley wraps up a special report on Video Mania.
Does this really have to cost this much?
Imagine getting forced
directed,
into
not at the
therapy.
parents, but at the manufacturer.
So it has come to this. Therapy sessions for families whom you could call Nintendependent.
First peer pressure starts. I feel maybe
Taken in.
I'm going to say no, and I'm going to explain to him how people market things to make you spend more money.
Damn, bro. Yo, I kind of feel bad for the little kid because because of his mom, like he's missing a piece of gaming history because of this overprotective mom. Bruh. Yo, I'm about to say the N-word, bro. Like, yo, I'm like really about to say the N-word. Sega knew that Super Nintendo was going to stop them from making a lot of money, so that's why they had to trick up their sleeves. See, now Nintendo was a family product, you know? So they couldn't really do any gore stuff, well, like, not that much, but in the 90s, people still use arcade machines. Now, when Mortal Kombat came out, people loved the game, and Sega knew, and that's why they ported the game to their console, but Nintendo didn't. Whoa, dude, look at that Nintendo fan over there. We have Mortal Kombat, a very adult-rated game. Oh, and what does Nintendo have? Oh, a plumber with a pedophile mustache? Bruh. Even though that was a good advantage on Sega's part, it still didn't beat the Super Nintendo sales. So, nice try, Sony, but you should have tried harder. Now, nothing really happened years after that, so let's go forward in time, shall we?
Plus I got this running me. Curly yellow dancing on me. So she smelled the green on me. She straight from California. Freaky, yeah, she wanna be. Tell me she like.
Oh my gosh, guys, it's 1995, where Mariah Carey was still relevant and O.J. Simpson was pleaded not guilty.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty.
Yes. What the hell? What?
Maybe we should get new roommates.
Yeah, maybe we should.
You know, we should check on Atari to see what they're doing. What the fuck? Atari, what's wrong now? Oh, I see what happened. The Atari Jaguar was the last Atari console that ever hit the shelves. Sadly, it was the biggest flop ever. Well, maybe because that corny ass controller, or maybe the shitty lineup of games for the console. This was the biggest flop for Atari, so much that they almost filed for bankruptcy. And also, they had to get bought by multiple companies. It's pretty sad, and Atari never made a console ever since then. Alright, well, let's stop talking about Atari, and let's see what Sega's doing. On May 11th, 1995, Sega released the Sega Saturn. This console wasn't really received from fans, and it started the downfall of Sega.
You are approaching Saturn. You are only seconds away. I have arranged for you to meet my companion. He will lead you. Watch and listen. Please, don't disappoint him. He doesn't like that.
You know what? Let's go check on Nintendo while we're at it. On September 26, 1996, Nintendo released Nintendo 64, and let's just say, shit hit the fan.
This holiday season, it's the new Nintendo 64. So what's the big deal, and why is Toys R Us already sold out? We have the answers.
Hi, you guys busy?
Considering how popular Mario is.
See these three guys right here? Who are they? Okay, if you don't know who that one is or that one is, how about that one? Do you know who that one is?
Super Mario.
Bruh.
It comes as no surprise that Nintendo's new video game featuring Mario is in major demand. It's the new leader of the video game pack, featuring 64-bit technology that produces amazing 3D animation, including zoom-in technology that might make you dizzy. Want a different angle? Just press a button.
This Santa Monica Toys R Us store sold out in 15 minutes, but the store model is attracting Nintendo fans like crazy.
I ride the bus from school and I stop and then I walk in and I play.
I bought the 64 system for a son for his 35th birthday.
2 years later, Nintendo 64 is still going out strong, and Sega knew that Nintendo popularity is rising again like it did back in the late 80s. So their only hope was to make another console and try to beat Nintendo 64. And this was their only chance where Sega could come out notorious. And they wasn't making a lot of money, so this was their last hope once again. So they made the Sega Dreamcast in 1998. Sega, we need to talk, bruh. What the hell is this? That bulky ass controller, tight ass cord. Yo, listen, man. Sega, you messed up big time. Yeah, this thing flopped. This is Sega's biggest failure. And they stopped making consoles just like Atari did after this huge fail. Well, Nintendo did it. They won the console war. Well, the first one to be exact. See, now, the thing about Nintendo is that they never ran out of good ideas for consoles. And with Super Mario, 64, they had it in the bag, and they won the first console war. But there's something that I forgot to tell you. See, now, Nintendo was intimidated. Nintendo was quite scared of the future of gaming, and I didn't tell you guys this, but a year before Nintendo 64 came out, there was a company that made their own console, and they thought that they could make it way better than the N64, which they did, which scared Nintendo. And in 1995, Sony changed the gaming industry forever with their release of
Hello, citizens of Europe. As spokesperson for SAPS, the Society Against PlayStation, I'd like to talk to you about a menace threatening humanity. It's happening right here, in our very homes, and corrupting the lives of our loved ones. Yes, friends, I'm talking about this. It may look like a harmless bagel toaster, but inside is a deadly donut. How do you know PlayStation is not a normal game system? It carries these telltale signs. Scientists say its effects are mind-boggling. Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Here we have a normal, healthy young man. And here we have a fellow who's been experimenting with PlayStation for only a few minutes. Proof that we saps must be on our guard. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.
On September 9th, 1995, Sony decided to join the ring in the gaming market and already had a lot of exclusive games in the first years of the console, like Crash Bandicoot, Gran Turismo, Tekken, Metal Gear Solid, Ape Escape Baby, Final Fantasy, and Resident Evil, and more. And it sold 104 million units during its 12-year lifespan, but the N64 only had 33 million units. There are two reasons why. Nintendo 64 never switched to ROM cartridges, the old-fashioned, to game disc, and got some backlash for it, considering the 90s was in that, oh my god, that was so blah 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 ago phase. And when people saw the PlayStation was compatible for game disc and not a bulky-ass game cartridge, some people switched to PlayStation. And the second reason is the PlayStation wasn't your average kiddie console. It had a lot of adult-suggested content. But yeah, there were some games for kids, but the majority of consumers was older teens and adults, which was a huge advantage for Sony, but the N64 still was remembered as an iconic and amazing console. And the PS1 was remembered for being the first game disc-based console and for its mature games. The mature content would spark some controversy though with parents who bought the PS1 thinking it was another Nintendo.
When you're watching a TV show, you're a witness to an act of violence. When you play one of these games, you are the murderer. You have your hand on the trigger. It's clear that what we're doing is teaching our kids that life is cheap and that really wicked thrill of killing people.
Kelly Mack, Channel 4 News.
And after that, the Sega Dreamcast wasn't the success Sega was looking for, so in 2002, Sega stopped manufacturing consoles and turned into a third-party developer. And it was required by Sammy Corporation, and it was the end of the Sega era. And they never made a console again. You know what, let's go check on Sega to see what they're doing now. Yo, alright, well, what is this? No, turn it off now. That's why Nintendo won the first console war, and it seemed like the next war was going to be Nintendo against Sony. In 2000, 5 years after the PS1, Sony released the PlayStation 2, and it was a big step into gaming in the 2000s.
Ready? Everyone's ready, right? Who has the PlayStation 2?
Sony PlayStation 2 will be the biggest thing to come along since TV was invented. The buzz on this product is that strong.
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2, newest, fastest video game system ever.
The console had a huge library of amazing games, much stronger processor than the PS1, and the graphics was way better and made backwards compatibility popular, and helped game franchises rise up such as God of War, Tomb Raider, the first Call of Duty game, and Grand Theft Auto 3. Sony sold more than 155 million units, and the PS2 became the most best-selling console of all time. But honestly, after the battle with Sega, Nintendo just wanted no competition and wanted to make games and consoles. But Sony wanted competition to prove that they mean business, but nothing happened. Until November 15th, 2001, Microsoft's Xbox came into the market and kicked off the 2000s.
We're unveiling the Xbox. This is the product that will be out later this year, and there's an amazing amount going on. For the first time, let me now unveil Xbox.
Bruh.
And it really is an honor to have you here. Believe it or not, I'm a big fan of yours. For instance, I know that you're a 5-time WWF champion, not to mention one of the top entertainers in the world.
Bill, I'm very flattered. I'm a big fan of yours as well. For instance, The Rock knows you're the chairman and chief software architect of the Microsoft Corporation, a leading worldwide provider of...
Boring! The original Xbox had iconic games. Halo, Fable, Forza Motorsport, and that's it. They did have other exclusives, but it was just a shitpost. But hey, it was the first time making a console, so let's cut them some slack. But I'm not going to cut them some slack when it comes to the controller. Boy! Look at this thing, it's goddamn big, bruh. Bigger than my ass. Pause. That big ass controller. I guess it was made for me since I'm what, like 6 feet tall? Bruh. Oh, hey Microsoft. Congratulations on the console launch. Oh, thanks Nintendo. Yeah man, no problem. Wait, what the hell are you doing? Oh, nothing. We're just making a better console than you. What are you talking about? We have a 753 megahertz processor. Who cares? Our brand new game console, the Nintendo GameCube, has a very good library of exclusive games. Oh, really? What game? Oh, nothing, you know. Super Mario Sunshine. Bruh. Sorry for the interruption, but this video is sponsored by Chris Hicks. Hold up.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris, and I'm gonna tell you why you should love Super Mario Sunshine.
Bruh.
You know what Kirby is, right? So, if you put Kirby next to Super Mario Sunshine, then Kirby and Mario can be best friends. See, you should give it a chance, okay? Don't go to Fortnite, don't go to Apex. Love Mario Sunshine because it will change your attitude, your disgraceful attitude.
Thank you, Chris Hicks, for the sponsor. I really appreciate it, even though you gave me $2 to play the video. But yeah, the Nintendo GameCube like legit came out a couple days after the Xbox, and they made the greatest Mario game of all freaking time, Super Mario Sunshine. I mean, they had the best ending. The Nintendo GameCube had made a lot of people's childhood memories, but some was ruined because in 2005, Sony released their first handheld console, the PSP, and it was a nightmare. I'm joking, alright? I am completely joking, alright? The PSP had a rocky start. No, never mind. Never mind. It was a successful launch, the first handheld console. And it was a good piece of gaming history, you know. I think, you know, Sony could have worked a little bit. Okay, you know what? I'm joking, PSP fans. You know I love you. But what I meant to say that in 2005, a video game company named 2Take Interactive made another installment in their famous series, the Grand Theft Auto series. And it was called GTA San Andreas. And the game sold like wildfire, but after the game's release, hackers found a hidden data file which showed an unreleased sexual minigame, which was called Hot Coffee, and it caused a heated debate on should kids and teens play video games.
Tony Raimondo is editor-in-chief of the gadget magazine Sync, and Jack Thompson is an attorney and video game expert. What is the appeal, in your opinion, as someone who sees a lot of these? Why do you think this series of games has struck a chord?
This is not for kids. You know, this is for a mature audience. I mean, this is for adult, 30-year-old men. You know, the average gamer is 29 years old. So the guy who works 12 hours a day on Wall Street and is stressed out and gets home, you know, this is his vice. You know, this is his way to relieve a little stress.
You see it as an outlet?
Absolutely. I mean, it's entertainment. You know, it's like
if it's an outlet, why do we need beating up people, shooting people, getting points for killing cops, hanging out with hookers and pimps as an outlet?
Absolutely. I'm not going to defend every aspect of it, but just like a Hollywood blockbuster, I mean, that's people go for the entertainment value.
Jack, it's a parent issue, it's an adult issue, but the FTC has a study that says, first of all, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids, even if it says M on the box, are going into stores buying it, and what they also say is that about 80% of the time, they're accompanied by their parents when they're buying the game. How does that strike you?
My son was able to go into Best Buy here in South Miami last night and buy it at the age of 12.
I'm here today as a parent and a senator, and along with my colleagues and so many of the advocates from around the country, we are determined to stop a situation in which video games with pornographic and violent content are being peddled to our children. Today, I'm announcing, along with my colleagues, Senator Lieberman and Bai, the Family Entertainment Protection Act. This bill will prohibit the sale of violent and sexually explicit video games to minors.
That never happened, but I don't really know. I'm just too lazy to do some research. But you guys correct me in the comments. It's just pretty funny how they overreacted over some goddamn PS2 graphics getting it on.
Bruh. Are you dead ass?
And with the Xbox 360 releasing on the same year, some parents were still debating if they should get their kids one because of the hot coffee controversy. And the reason why Microsoft marketed the Xbox 360 as for teens and adults, and also by accident gave birth to the Call of Duty era.
Shoot a gun, dog. Learn how to fucking shoot a gun, you fucking riot shield. What else you want me to do? Oh, riot shield. I'm a pussy that use riot shield. Oh, I'm a pussy. What do you want me to use? Faggot. You tell me what you want me to fucking use. That's prestige, you fucking fag. Tell me what to fucking use, huh? Tell me what to fucking use, huh? Tell me what to fucking use to play the fucking game, and I'll fucking murk you. You fucking cock-sucking faggot. Pussy. That's right. Yum, 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 I eat dick all day. Yum, 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 yum. What am I? Dick? Nigga, what a fucking homo. You eat dick. Nigga said he eats dick.
Then after months of marketing, on November 2005, the Xbox 360 was released, and then bring the most largest library of games: Crackdown, Halo 3, Gears of War, Dead Rising, and then Mass Effect. But do you want to know the best-selling Xbox 360 exclusive is? Well, it's Kinect Adventures.
Bruh.
Well, if you guys don't know what a Xbox Kinect is, well, let me ask you this question. Have you ever wanted to be a Xbox controller? Oh, hell yeah! I want to be an Xbox controller. Well, you came to the right place for a shitty product. The Xbox Kinect was the famous for the wrong reasons accessory in Microsoft's history. The Kinect was made for the Xbox 360 and it controlled the Xbox and TV just by doing gestures. You could play video games and without even touching a controller. It was a very, very well thought out plan, but bad execution. Oh, but at least you could sign in automatically. Wow, the Kinect sounds great, right? Yeah? Well, actually, no, it was the opposite. The Kinect was a bad part of the Xbox 360's history, and here's why. The thing worked half the time, the sensor bar was on some drugs, Microsoft spent a lot of money on it, so when they saw the Kinect failing, they was like, oh hell nah bro, we spent way too much money on this piece of shit. That's why they put it in a bundle with your Xbox 360, and you can't do nothing about it except for sell it on eBay for $8. How to use the Xbox Kinect. Step 1. Throw it in the garbage. Well, let me not use the Kinect then, just a waste of money. Let me go use my brand new Xbox 360 that I waited in line for 4 hours. What the fuck? Oh no, Timmy. Looks like your brand new Xbox 360 is broken. Yep, the Red Ring of Death was and always be the biggest hardware fail ever. Now, I'm going to keep this one brief because I already talked about the Kinect. Now, in 2005, days after the console's launch, there was a huge hardware problem in the first model of the Xbox 360. 3 red lights on the Xbox, that means general hardware failure error occurred. So, which means red equals very, very bad.
Like Frosty the Snowman in the Bahamas, some faulty Xbox 360s are literally melting down while running certain games. A big holiday headache from Microsoft, but Nintendo and Sony appear to be grinning like elves. Jane Wells and Jim Goldman on Dual spelled, well, like you're fighting coverage. Jane, let's begin with you.
Aaron, this isn't a new problem, but it may be getting worse as hot new titles get lots of gameplay, and this happens.
3 red lights.
The red rings of doom signal that your Xbox 360 is fried. Microsoft hasn't specified the cause, but users say the console's cooling system just can't take the heat of a lot of play.
One Xbox has been sent back 3 times. Which would be our 4th.
Now the 360 was a great console and everybody remembers it so fondly and still does, but you navigated the company through the Red Ring of Death scenario. When did you realize it was bad? Was it sort of like a sudden thing, like, oh no, or was it sort of a gradual, like...
It wasn't sudden. It was building over weeks. You get actually 3 rings, if I remember.
3 red lights.
Yeah,
yes.
There. And that was fine, and we knew we had a problem. And I always remember going to Robbie Bach, my boss, and saying, I think we could have $1 billion problem here. As we started to do the analysis of what was going on, we were getting the defectives in. It was a challenging problem for our engineers. Couldn't quite figure out what it was. We knew it was heat related, and there were all kinds of fixes. I remember people putting wet towels around the bug.
Yeah. All the fans and everything.
The moment I'll never forget.
And those was the 2 major problems in the Xbox 360's lifespan. 23.7% of consoles during that time was suffering from the Red Ring of Death, you know, what people like to call it. And it took Microsoft $1.15 billion to fix. But it never stopped the Xbox 360 to be #1. But then, 1 year later, Sony fans was looking at the PS2 and comparing it to the Xbox 360, and they was like, yo, Sony, like, this PS2 is older than my granddad. Can you give us the PS3 now? Well, I mean, you guys could still enjoy the PSP. I mean, we just added the mint green as the brand new color. Okay, fine, goddamn. Then finally, after 6 years, on November 11th, 2006, the PlayStation... What the fuck?
Got my gown, I ain't go to play. I'd rather die before I come in last.
What was Sony thinking? I mean, like, the Xbox 360 was $400. I mean, like, seriously, no, seriously, like, Sony, What the hell was you thinking? I mean, it's bad enough that Xbox 360 had a 1-year advantage, and now they have a price advantage. I mean, like, what type of mess is that? The PS3 only had 20 gigabytes worth of storage, but now, if you hate that, which you are going to hate, then you can spend another $100 for a 60 gigabyte system. Even with those big flaws, it didn't stop the PS3 to have amazing exclusives. And it started a whole new generation with games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, God of War, Heavy Rain, Little Big Planet, what the hell? And Demon's Souls. And just to name a few. Wait, hold on guys, can we just take a time to go look at the PS3 prototype? Because the PS3 controller was going to look like this. Yeah, good thing this was a prototype. Now the PS3 had a rough few years because the Xbox 360 had a 1 year ahead, plus Nintendo legit released the Nintendo Wii days after the PS3 came out. The Nintendo Wii reinvented casual gaming, and it sold 101 million copies. Everyone had a Wii. My grandma, my cousin, my mailman, my teacher, and my neighbors. And, of course, Obama. But like no BS, everyone had a Nintendo Wii. If you didn't even own one, you knew about it deeply. Also, it was very easy to use because all you had to do is just wave a goddamn plastic stick. But after years of fighting, Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox was the remaining three. And who won the console wars of the 2000s? Well, I have the answer. Drum roll, please. It's Nintendo and Sony. Bruh. Yup, Nintendo and Sony won the second console war. I mean, they blew Microsoft out of the water with sales. And you must be wondering, well, did the Xbox 360 at least have a happy ending, right? Well, no. Years after hard work and dedication, Sony last minute beated Xbox in sales with the Xbox in last place and with only 85 million copies sold. So it was a tie between Nintendo and Sony, but with Microsoft, they kind of failed. Now listen, like they put up a good fight, but it wasn't enough to win. So years after, in 2013, a third console war was going to happen.
Product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Bruh. So stick with 360, that's your message if you don't, like it?
If you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device.
Bruh.
I mean,
Oh boy, let me tell you that Microsoft wasn't ready.
About a new Nintendo system, we knew the prevailing thought would be this. Yes, the game will probably still be right for all of us, but could it also be a perfect fit just for you? And the answer to that question is an emphatic absolutely. In fact, we're so convinced of it that we put that pronoun right in the name. So today, welcome to the world of Wii U.
It's 2012, when people thought the world was going to end, and Mama was like, hello? My name is Barack Obama, and I'm going to be re-electing for president on 2012 presidential election. Hopefully, you guys elect me. Obama. After the massive console war between Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo through the 2000s, the 8th generation of home consoles was happening, and Nintendo wanted to be the first competitor to release a console in the 2010s. And then, the Wii U releasing on November 18th, 2012. The Wii U was basically a shitty sequel to the original Wii back in 2006. Bruh. And the original Wii was the biggest selling console since the PlayStation 2. And Nintendo knew that. That's why they made the Wii U. And it wasn't any better than the original Wii, since they rushed the console because Nintendo knew that next year, 2013, Xbox and Sony was releasing a bigger and better console that was soon to be the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, so Nintendo just wanted a head start. But it didn't go as planned. Nintendo marketed the Wii U like it was an add-on than a new console, and the Nintendo Wii commercials always told you how to use it, but it never told you why you needed the Wii U in the first place. Oh, and plus the commercial was hot garbage.
Happy Holigames! Bradley here, hanging with my family, and there's nothing better than our tradition of hanging out during the holidays and getting in some Wii U time. I just get a warm feeling inside when I get to crush my older sisters. Crush my older sisters.
Crush my older sisters.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer. Every night. I can feel.
And here's Nintendo's excuse on why you should buy the Wii U. Holy crap, guys! Wow, this is so wacky. We added a screen to the original Wii. Look at it, it's like your iPhones that you're holding nowadays. Whoa, we're so creative. Their second excuse was, hey guys, guess what? We just made Mario Kart for the 8th time. And with a not so good lineup of games and the Wii U bombing in sales, 3 years after launch, Nintendo fans considered 2013 and 2016 to be the dark era of Nintendo. And the Wii U proved to everyone that Nintendo wasn't immune to bad decisions and can make just as bad decisions like any other company. And the Wii U will always be one of the most forgettable Nintendo consoles ever.
Come in and be the first people to buy Wii U in the UK. So some very dedicated fans out there.
I've been queuing since Saturday morning at around 10 AM. And to be honest, the days have just been blending together. I mean, we've been up all night, playing games, just chilling out. And to decide who was going to be first in the queue, we played Mario Kart. It was a bit of a devastating game. It was deadly, emotions were running high. Right towards the finish line, I came victorious by firing 3 red shells on my mate Singh. He's still devastated.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my god! Oh jeez! Oh my god!
1 year later, after the cringy launch of the Wii U, a company named Ouya, who came out of nowhere, said that's it. We are tired of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo taking over the console gaming. That's why after the Wii U's launch, they started a Kickstarter page back in 2012, and the whole operation was being run by Julie Erdman. She was the chief executive officer at Santa Monica. And why do you need to know this? Well, that's the only title she has, except for being a video game entrepreneur that she calls herself.
Why are we still here?
The television costs a lot of money. You have to work with established players in the space, and I've been trying to figure out how do we get them back to it. Ouya is a new game console for the television that's built on Android, open source technology. It's an inexpensive game console for gamers. All the games are free to try. Anybody that wants to develop a game for a television, we allow them the ability to do this. I've been a part of the game industry for a really long time. In the early days of gaming, you could take your Apple IIe, write your own programming, and take your game to market.
The console business as it is today is completely closed to the independent developer.
The process overhead for console development is really just too much for us.
There's a lot of hurdles for developers to get games onto the television. Developing is extremely expensive. I love the television, and I want those games on the television. Television, 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 television.
Then 1 year later, 2013, Ouya's Kickstarter blew up. Some famous YouTubers was making videos about it left and right. It was a success. Ouya's Kickstarter raised $8.5 million, making the Kickstarter the 5th highest earning in the website's history. So, they had the hype, the money, the investors, marketing, and an engineering team. But you know what they didn't have? A leader. See, Julie didn't know what the hell she was doing. Alright, she had zero experience with video games, and she only called herself a video game entrepreneur trying to sound smart in interviews. Which didn't work, by the way.
There is nothing special about this board. Nothing. Like, nothing, right?
You don't, by the way, you don't hear a lot of people when they're promoting their product
Say that any one of you can go make it.
There's nothing special
There's
about
nothing.
it. How many have you sold?
A lot.
Can you give me a range?
A lot.
Like, you're not going to tell me a
No,
number.
I'm not.
But there was no fooling around here, alright? It was getting close to the release date, and then finally, on June 25th, 2013, the Ouya was released to the public to try to beat Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo in the 2013 console war. Let's see how the Ouya turned out, shall we?
I bought it. It's the Ouya console.
Dreamt by gamers, designed in California.
Ouya comes with what you need to get coding and get famous.
The little box inside this box has big dreams.
The controller just pops out, so I just open it up like that.
And so begins the revolution.
And so begins
Bold move.
the revolution.
Thank you for believing. It's probably in here for the Kickstarter.
Here's where all the extra Kickstarter money they got went to. The company says the launch is delayed because it needs more time to meet high retail demand.
The Ouya is a joke.
It feels very cheaply made. The D-pad is stiff and kind of unresponsive.
It has started to wear from only about a week of use.
Of the Ouya. 99% of these apps are just little clones of Candy Crush and Angry Birds.
It's Mike Tyson on a motorcycle. What more can you ask for?
If they do not give me a fix for it this week, I will film myself pissing on the Ouya.
Well, that didn't go as planned. Hopefully the videos I showed you was enough to let you know that the Ouya was a complete disaster, and becoming the worst console ever to exist, critics say. Due to the huge backlash and thousands of negative reviews, which caused sales to drop immediately after launch, videos after videos of people ripping the Ouya to shreds, I kinda feel bad for some of the engineering team who actually tried their hardest to make the Ouya work. I mean, there's a legit video of someone taking a piss on the Ouya and trying to flush it down the toilet. But I don't blame them, having to pay $100 for this piece of junk only to be stuck in a digital paywall that forces you to pay extra money into their shitty ass game store just to play Toto Temple Deluxe. Yeah, this console sucks. And always be remembered as being the worst console since the PSP. Hey, okay, alright, I'm joking, kid, chill! Months after the Ouya, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo was preparing for the ultimate console war of 2013. The Wii U, Xbox One, and the PlayStation 4 was going head to head for superiority. Now this was critical because video games were getting more advanced and bigger, like powerful graphics, fleshed out open worlds, beautiful atmospheres, the biggest character developments, amazing gameplay, and one of the greatest storylines the gaming industry has ever seen. But here's the thing, advanced video games needed better hardware to run them on. It was extremely hard for developers to make big games for outdated hardware like the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Not only was it a big decision for fans, it was also a big decision for developers. In E3 2013, this was a massive chance for Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo to showcase updated hardware for fans and to the public. But after the 2006 console war, video gaming was still being considered violent and extremely bad for kids and families. And that's why the Nintendo Wii was heavily popular in 2006, because the Wii was made for kids and families. So it wasn't hard for Nintendo to slip under the radar in the whole violent video gaming controversy. Microsoft wanted Nintendo's strategy for the next generation and thought it would be a good idea to make their next-gen console, the Xbox One, a family-friendly console instead of a gamer-friendly console. And oh boy, Microsoft made the worst console showcase in E3 history because of it.
Go to Internet Explorer. Oh, nice. Gestures such as grab and pan and swipe up. Now, have you ever wanted to do more than one thing at a time when you're watching TV?
course you have. Another amazing thing you can do on your Xbox. Skype. Hey DJ.
Just make sure when you get to fantasy, you show the real version. You know.
When my player scores here like LeBron, I automatically...
My nigga, I don't care about LeBron James. Can I play Halo on my Xbox One or not?
And 429 pounds in the UK.
I'm very proud to announce that PlayStation 4 will be available at $399.
Quiet.
We will start over.
Microsoft did a bad job marketing the Xbox One, becoming a laughingstock, being on the same level as Ouya. Okay, you know what? I think I'm being a little bit too harsh. All right, shoot. What about, okay. The Xbox One was on the same level as the Wii U. Okay, you know what? Damn, I still think that's too harsh. The Xbox One is on its own level of being bad. Damn it. And you're probably wondering, oh, hell nah. Come on, man. It couldn't be that bad. Bruh. What's wrong with it?
Bruh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone was clowning and making fun of the Xbox One. They were trying to make it family friendly and marketed the Xbox One like it was a TV cable box than a gaming console. The first showcase was all about how you could watch TV shows and movies on your Xbox One, but they barely said anything about playing video games on it. And I honestly don't blame anyone in 2013 thinking the Xbox One was an actual cable box than being a video game console. But with Sony's PlayStation 4, they done the legit opposite what Xbox did. Actually, they made fun of Microsoft when they announced that you can't resell used games on the Xbox.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Thanks.
PlayStation.
The PlayStation 4 was Sony's redemption arc because the PlayStation 3 was not what fans was expecting from Sony themselves. But the PS3 was not good or bad either. It was just extremely mediocre, and it left fans decisive to this day, debating if the PS3 was good or not good. But in 2013, people already knew what they was going to buy. The PlayStation 4. Even Xbox fans didn't want the Xbox One. And over time, you could just see the PlayStation 4 looming over the Xbox One in darkness because of Microsoft's bad management, presentation, marketing, and leadership. And unfortunately, it led to their embarrassing launch. Now, it was officially November 2013, a big moment for Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but even for the Ouya, holiday season could make or break a generation. PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One versus the Wii U. Who is going to win? Okay, it's PlayStation. Yeah. We all know PlayStation 4 won the console war of this generation, but it's not the end of the story. There's more behind the curtain. But yeah, of course, the Xbox One underperformed exactly after launch, and they had to make massive changes to bring up sales. They changed the ugly original design of it and replaced it with a nice modern one. And they dropped the price and decided to fire this guy. But then a year later, 2014, Microsoft finally made a great decision. They actually hired a video game entrepreneur, and the name was Phil Spencer. See, Phil Spencer began his career at Microsoft by working as an intern in 1988. Then after that, he worked his way up to a general manager at Microsoft Game Studios and became a developer up until 2008, until he moved up to the studios to become a vice president of Xbox. And then after the disappointing launch of the Xbox One, Phil Spencer decided to take matters into his own hands after Jason Holdman, the original head of Xbox, quitted, and Phil Spencer took his place in 2014. Phil Spencer had more than 25 years under his belt, and he wasn't going to let that go to waste, and he got straight to work. The first thing he did in 2015, he decided to put his foot down and forced Xbox to bring backwards compatibility to their consoles for the original Xbox and then the 360.
Back. We continue to deliver monthly platform feature updates that enhance your gaming experience, and your response to the updates continues to motivate us. I'm pleased to announce Xbox One backward compatibility. Your Xbox 360 games, the games you've invested your time and money in, and the games you want to continue to replay will be playable natively on your Xbox One.
Then after that, he launched one of the most greatest gaming services to date, the Xbox Game Pass. For only $10, you could play over 100 games, and they're mostly award-winning or critically acclaimed. This was a step in the right direction. Phil Spencer, who was once an intern, now the head of Xbox, was making the right decisions for Xbox to actually be recognized in the gaming landscape. But of course, Sony didn't give a hoot about Phil Spencer and all of his accomplishments. Actually, it was already 2017 and Sony was just getting started. They had a blowout with sales and they had a lot of amazing exclusives already. Wait a minute. I think I'm getting ahead of myself because we haven't really talked about Nintendo's side of the story. Because this was the first time Nintendo ever messed up with a big time product. So let's go back to 2013. So the Wii U bombed in sales, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, no one cares. But you wanna know who did care? Nintendo, because they was not happy with the result of the Wii U. Almost $50 million down the damn drain because of the Wii U. So Nintendo had to go straight to the drawing board and make a brand new console fast and get their head in the game, because every week goes by, more money gets burned and so has their reputation. But finally, they announced their brand new console on October 20th, 2016. And I am so happy to say this, it was the Nintendo Switch. But Microsoft wasn't really scared because they already lost everything from 2013. But with PlayStation on the other hand, this was their very first portable console, and it was a huge success because of Super Mario Odyssey and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, two massive exclusives of their best franchises. It was also very flexible. You could hook up your Switch to the TV like an instant, and you could just play it on a train if you want to, if you're feeling bored. The Nintendo Switch was truly a masterpiece. You could play with your friends, you could play it anywhere, anytime, at any place. The Nintendo Switch had a beautiful launch, and it made Nintendo a lot of money. Actually, they replaced all the money that they lost because of the Wii U. Then a year after launch, 2018, they announced Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a fan favorite. This was spectacular for Super Smash fans and also Nintendo fans at that. And that's it. That's a Nintendo Switch. It was a really good console, and it brought the community together after the Wii U days. It actually pleased everyone. But damn, why is it so expensive? This shit better clean up my room in an instant when I drop a crumb. Deadass! It was finally 2019, and Sony is still pulling exclusives out of their ass. And finally, it's 2020, the final year of this generation. The generation has been nothing but a roller coaster ride for some. The PS4 was extremely popular, but the Xbox was the underdog, and it was still fighting. And it's 2020, and Xbox and PlayStation are still fighting for superiority when it comes to next-gen consoles, with Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. And Nintendo, well, they're just Nintendo. They're doing their own thing, and you have to respect it. You know, it's kind of crazy how consoles evolved over the decades. Back in 1990, it was Super Nintendo versus Sega Genesis. But now, in 2020, it's Xbox versus PlayStation. But the moral of this series is it doesn't matter what generation you come from or what console you played on. If you have fun, we all win. And that's where the story ends for this generation. And hopefully the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 generation will be legendary. And I might do a part 4 in the next 10 years, but this is where the story ends for now. Thank you guys for watching Console Xbox guy. What, Timmy? I'm trying to end off my series. Don't be alarmed, but I got my brand new Ouya from GameStop. Okay, and? Well, when I turned it on, it said it was gonna self-destruct in 2 seconds. Wait, what? Oh, I'm alive? Oh, thank God, it's just a dream. Oh, man. Well, I might as well go back to sleep.